Episode 27, Flowers for Selenia. We begin following the Winx in the Legendarium World, just outside the Gate of Oblivion, from which the fairies have freed themselves. Tecna attempts to scan their surroundings, only to find the landscape too abstract and fluid to get a read on. It appears the realm is constantly shifting around them, ever-changing. Roxy jokes that it's pretty easy to see with the number of floating islands through a seemingly endless space, each one seeming like its own little world. Bloom suggests this must be the Legendarium World, to which Stella asks if there are any legends of clearly marked exits they could use to get out of here. Flora points up to the golden light shooting through the sky. Aisha says they're probably just stars, but Stella confirms they aren't. As they look closer, Musa points out that they're golden portraits. Wherever they're headed, it might be their best bet at figuring out how to get back to reality. As they fly off, we see a set of 3 glowing eyes watching the Winx from the shadows. Selena, meanwhile, finds herself back in Gardenia. She tries to approach Bloom, only for Mitzi to reach her first, and the two mock Selena. Mitzi then multiplies into 6 copies, each one turning into one of the Winx. Selena pleads with Bloom, apologizing for what she's done, only for the Winx to attack her with magic. Selena finds herself powerless, with Bloom laughing at how worthless she is. Selena runs up to grab Bloom's hand, only for her own hand to burn. Back in the Legendarium World, the Winx are quickly surrounded by shadowy storm clouds. They're quickly besieged by razor-sharp hails and blasts of lightning. The clouds part to reveal the Megatrix, the fusion of the Trix which embodies all of their powers, along with their collective rage and thirst for vengeance. It screams that it will destroy all those who have wronged the Trix, the Winx, along with that worthless traitor Selena. Though the Winx managed to put up a fight, the Megatrix is far too chaotic to predict, and its power seems exponential. Tecna notes that the Trix's magic, much like the space around them, appears volatile. Stella notes the markings along the Trix, which appear similar to the river of the Underworld emblems. Aisha groans, asking if it's a Darkar or a Valtor situation all over again. Flora suggests they retreat, and Stella tries covering their escape with an illusion, courtesy of her moon magic. The Megatrix catches on, however, and sends the Winx flying deeper into the Legendarium World with a powerful cyclone. As the girls float through space, Stella awakens, hearing a voice calling her name in the distance. Gathering her strength, she uses her lunar magnet spell to keep everyone together, leading them towards the voice. As the others come to, they see another floating island, this one a town resembling Paraloon, surrounding a massive silver castle bearing the emblem of Selenia, all underneath a massive moon. They're all in awe, and as they land, they're met by a woman Stella recognizes from her visions in the Moonlight Chamber, Queen Hecate. She welcomes Princess Stella and the Winx to the kingdom of Selenia. We then cut back to Selena, who runs from Bloom and the Winx through a forest. As she approaches Eldora's cottage, we see Eldora at the door, who simply shakes her head and goes back inside. The cottage vanishes, leaving Selena to have to flee again. Acheron's laughter resounds, and he gloats about how easy it was to push Selena in the right direction, further tearing down her nerves. She trips, and as she looks up, finds herself at Alfea before the Trix, who look upon her with disdain. She asks them for help, to which Stormy responds, "Like you helped us be trapped in the Legendarium World?" Darcy asks, "Like you helped Acheron string us along?" And Icy asks, "Like you helped yourself by lying to us?" Selena apologizes, to which the Trix say she's just apologizing because she got caught. As they call her pathetic, they turn away. Selena tries to stand only to fall over, and then finds herself confronted by a new figure, her Witch Queen persona. Cutting back to the Winx, Tecna asks how an entire fallen kingdom could be here. Hecate explains it's like everything else in the Legendarium World, which makes Musa point to the stories people share of Selenia. Stella adds it isn't just the stories, but the culture, legends, and history of Selenia that the people of Paraloon hold close to themselves. She tears up at the beauty around them. Hecate thanks Stella, as their home here in the Legendarium World had grown more prosperous recently, which Bloom realizes must be from Stella trying to keep Selenia's history alive. When Aisha asks how Hecate knew who they were, Hecate explains she only recognized Stella through her connection to the moon. However, when Stella introduces them all as the Winx, Hecate does mention she's heard of them. Though the others are confused, Roxy asks, "How many times have you guys saved the universe now?" It thus stands to reason that even those exploits left an impression within the Legendarium World. As Hecate shows them around, she explains how she knew her battle against Acheron and Selenia were lost, and so she decided to flee into the Legendarium World. Having studied the Legendarium for many years, she believed she could find a way to use the realm's power to turn the tides. Instead, she nearly lost herself and has now become completely entangled within this world. Because this realm is so malleable due to being crafted from the stories people tell in reality, one's very sense of self can come apart rather easily, especially as they are either forgotten, their character is warped through those legends, or their perception is rather divisive. For that reason, the Winx will need to find their way out of the Legendarium World as quickly as possible. When Roxy asks how Acheron was able to escape mostly unscathed, but before Hecate can answer, another voice says he didn't. A bald woman in black garb approaches, and Stella recognizes her as Styx, the fifth river of the underworld, the river of hatred. Hecate assures them that Styx is an ally. Styx says that she regrets her previous allegiance to Acheron, saying that she turned on him, and is the one who trapped him in the Legendarium World while he was studying the tome. However, she and the other rivers were pulled inside as well, and thus she was cast out. It was only through Hecate's mercy that Styx was able to atone and help keep Acheron away from Selenia. Styx says that Acheron's time in the Legendarium World warped his mind and the minds of all the rivers, plunging them further into their obsession with purity and light. Their obsession has influenced the realm, with Aisha commenting on Selenia probably not helping a lot from the outside. Hecate believes she knows a way that the Winx can escape, and it is through the pieces of the dragon flame she senses within them. The others look to Bloom, given she's the fairy of the dragon flame, and Hecate explains that the story of the great dragon creating the magical universe has never faded, and neither did the subsequent belief in all living things being connected through containing sparks of that flame. That mythical power could potentially help them traverse the Legendarium World and even find a way back to reality. But to do that, they will need the arcane magic of each of their homeworlds, which will help to create the power of fantasy. Before the Winx can inquire further, Selenia finds itself the victim of a terrible storm. Unsurprisingly to the Winx, the Megatrix attacks again, and the Winx work with Hecate and Styx to ward the creature off. Cutting back to Selena, she's confronted by her witch queen self, who calls her weak and pathetic. The actual Selena says that she's right, chiding herself for all she's done. She repeats how she was scared Bloom would leave her behind, so she wound up pushing her away before it could even happen, and now she's paying the price for it. Everything begins fading into darkness as Selena herself starts to fade, noting how comfortable oblivion feels. She then recalls Eldora's letter, along with a brief conversation she had with Eldora that she'd forgotten about. While Bloom was training one day in the Forest of Flowers, Selena decided to go home early without telling anyone. Eldora stopped her, asking what was wrong, and when Selena said there was no reason for her to be here since she has no magic, Eldora says that she is needed, specifically to motivate Bloom. After all, who else could help Bloom pick herself up when she next failed, or rein her in when she was about to make a bad decision on impulse? Eldora says that she does sense a magical potential within Selena, and notes that if Earth still had its magic, she truly believes Selena too would be among its most talented magic users. Bloom calls out to Selena asking why she ran off. Selena tries to come up with an excuse, but as Eldora clears her throat, Selena tells Bloom the truth. Bloom apologizes for getting so caught up with her magic, hugging Selena and saying that she has nothing to worry about, and that she wouldn't be here without her. No matter what happens, they'll always be friends, and nothing can change that. Selena in the present tears up, saying she has to make things up to Bloom and everyone else she's hurt. She breaks free from her prison in oblivion. Knowing she has to find the Winx, she forces open a portal to the Legendarium World. The Winx continue their fight with the Megatrix, trying their best to protect their surroundings and the illusory inhabitants of Selenia. Hecate confirms that the Megatrix have been imbued with the power of the Legendarium World, and has been turned into one of the river's personal guard dogs. Bloom tries to get through to the Trix, specifically Icy, asking how as fierce a witch as her could be made to kowtow to Acheron, but that kind of backfires as the Megatrix becomes even more furious. Insert quip here from Stella about how the Trix have had no problem working for stupid men before. As if on cue, Selena calls out to get the Megatrix's attention, leading it away from the city and towards the world's edge. The Winx follow, with Bloom especially worried for Selena's safety, though Stella stays back as Hecate says she has an idea on how to stop the Megatrix. Selena recognizes this creature as the Trix and knows how much they'd want to destroy her, and in her eyes, rightfully so. As she reaches the edge, she apologizes one last time to the Trix. The Megatrix pauses, then yells, "Liar," and lunges. Bloom calls out to Selena right as Selena steps back, throwing herself into the depths below, knowing that the Megatrix will follow, which it does. Bloom flies down to catch Selena. Selena asks why Bloom would go to this effort to save her, and Bloom says that's what friends are for. The other Winx use Convergence to hold back the Megatrix, while Stella and Hecate use Convergence, harnessing Selenia's power to capture the Trix. The Winx see glimpses of each of their paths as this happens, and the moonlight manages to separate the Trix, leaving them unconscious and temporarily restrained. They return to Selenia, where Selena apologizes to the Winx for all that she's done, and when Musa asks, Selena confirms that she's the one who sent them here to save them. When asked why, Selena just can't explain herself. Though Bloom forgives Selena, she's not quite ready to trust her again, and Selena promises she's going to do whatever it takes to help them stop Acheron. Hecate then resumes her explanation from before, saying that the Winx will need to connect their Dragonflame sparks to the essences of their homeworlds. By doing so, they will achieve a legendary transformation which will allow them to harness the power of fantasy, Mythix. Episode 28, The Tree of Stories. On their way to the center of the Legendarium World, Selena explains to the Winx how this dimension has always existed, ever since people began sharing stories. As those stories change over time, altered by different recountings and different versions, the Legendarium shifts to reflect that, but the root to the original version still exists. And so, at the very heart of the Legendarium World lies the Tree of Stories. Hopefully here they will be able to learn about the power of fantasy. Following the branches back to the central trunk, they enter through a nook, quickly finding themselves in a vast chamber filled with golden sparks of light, looking like fireflies, and several tree-ringed platforms. Both above and below are obscured by darkness. Debating whether to head for the top of the tree or down to the roots, they're caught off guard by the jovial laughter of an elderly woman. The fireflies coalesce to form a figure, the fairy godmother Eldora. Meanwhile, in the real world, everyone in Magic City is going about their daily lives as usual. The specialists are here, currently on patrol. People then begin to scream, and we see the Palace of Tartarus flying in the distance, approaching over the barrier mountains. We then cut to Alfea, which has been returned to its usual spot, though it is in rough shape, to put it nicely. The professors convene on what to do about the rivers, and potentially even getting the Lord of the Templars involved, which should only be a last resort. To make matters worse, the specialists notify them about the rivers approaching Magic City, meaning they have no time to debate. We cut to the palace where Acheron and the other rivers of the underworld watch, ready to destroy Magic City, the representation of all they hate about the modern magical universe. They gather around each other, beginning a ritual using the power of Celeria's second son to bring forth Thea, the Celerian queen who destroyed Selenia long ago. Back in the Tree of Stories, Bloom and Selena are ecstatic to see Eldora again, though Selena is hesitant, her guilt overtaking her. She apologizes to Eldora for betraying her and helping Acheron. Smiling, Eldora accepts her apology and likewise apologizes for neglecting Selenia, thus making her vulnerable to Acheron's influence. Eldora confirms that she is indeed the guardian of the Legendarium and the Tree of Stories. She already knows that the Winx are here to pursue the power of Mythix, but she warns them that such an arcane, limitless source of power, a kind of pure, raw magic, is dangerous to harness, even more so than the Dragon Flame. Still, the Winx believe that they will need it to stop Acheron once and for all. Stella asks Selenia if her Witch Queen powers might be able to help, but Selenia says that all of her magic came from Acheron. Though she has Selenian heritage, that magic faded from her bloodline long ago, and Acheron promised her magic so long as he served her. The Winx are thrown by the Selenian bit, but Bloom assures Selenia that they will stop Acheron no matter what. Still, Roxy finds it hard to believe that Selena's family would have lost all of their magic, especially with magic returning to Earth. With no time to lose, the Winx are told that they will have to combine the sparks of their shares of the Dragon Flame with the essence of their homeworlds. Roxy asks where exactly they're supposed to get that, but Stella realizes the answer lies in their fairy dust bottles, how they would absorb the essence of the Legendarium characters they had defeated into the bottles. They gather around, holding out their hands to reveal their Dragon Flame sparks. They all count down to open their fairy dust bottles, and when they do, lights shoot out from each of them and swirl overhead. For a moment, they're worried about having to fight each of the characters again, which would not be a fun experience, especially given one of them was Lord Darkar, but instead the lights shoot down, disappearing into the darkness of the tree below. The Winx give chase, leaving Selenia and Eldora behind. Back in the real world, the professors, along with many guardian fairies, witches, and specialists, gather around, putting up a shield around Magic City in preparation for the river's attack. What's eerie, however, is that the Palace of Tartarus has not moved since it was spotted. The specialists Codatorta and Avalon are sent out, both for reconnaissance and to potentially stop the rivers before they launch their attack. Back in the Tree of Stories, Selenia paces about, wishing that she still had her magic to help the Winx. Eldora asks Selenia if she believes she's truly worthless and useless without magic. To which Selenia goes, obviously? Without her magic, Selenia sees no real way to accomplish what she needs to do. She knows that desperation is what made her vulnerable to Acheron to begin with, but she doesn't know what else could help her. Eldora says that Selenia needs to figure it out for herself, but she can offer a gentle reminder that no matter what she has done, no matter how far removed she may feel from Selenian culture and magic, it is still a part of her. She can't let herself, whether she has magic or not, be defined by Acheron's manipulation. Further within the tree's depths, the Winx continue chasing the lights. Stella complains about how far down the tree stretches, and Roxy agrees, wondering if they're just wasting time. Flora insists that the lights must be heading for the roots. Aisha wonders what the roots of a mythical tree would even look like, or what they would be rooted into. Suddenly, the lights stop, then take shape, transforming into copies of the Winx. These copies are in their Enchantix forms and Roxy in her base form, all their soulless eyes devoid of pupils. Back in the real world, the specialists Codatorta and Avalon arrive at the Palace of Tartarus, where they quickly locate the rivers performing their spell. They manage to interrupt the ritual, but find they're no match for their powers and are quickly subdued. Acheron notes they're only being kept alive so they too may be purified by the true light of Selenia, and he nods to the other rivers to continue their ritual. Back in the Legendarium World, the Winx are a bit thrown off by their mirror image, unsure of how they could be here in the Legendarium World. The false Bloom laughs, saying that of course they're here, recreated by all the stories people have told of the Winx over the years. Stella jokes about how this is giving them having to face their inner demons, to which false Stella says they're far from demons, they're the best real versions of the Winx that will live on long after them. After all, perception is everything. Unprompted, the false Winx attack, and we get each Winx facing her own counterpart, which mocks her for her struggles. Bloom is faced with being a prouder, haughtier version of herself that claims to always know right from wrong. to always set the example for others and lead the way, and thus has been rewarded with everything that she's ever wanted. To her, the real Bloom is weak, cowardly, and far too untrustworthy. Real Bloom admits that she's made some bad choices, that she's taken people for granted, and even herself for granted, and she has felt lost and sad. But she's been doing her best to pull herself out of this place, to do the right thing even if it hurts, because that is what being a fairy means to her. She's not about to give up and let the worlds be drowned in the suffering Acheron will bring. Stella's false self is naturally fueled solely on solar power, and is obsessed with being lauded as a hero and celebrity. The real Stella finds this ridiculous. What's the point of being loved if it's not for who you actually are? And honestly, if she's not popular being herself, the people clearly have no taste. Flora's battle sees her being challenged as weak, as demure, and as completely helpless, how she holds everyone else back. But the real Flora knows her own strength and will never back down so long as she can protect the people that she loves. Musa self-jokes about how she has no sense of self, how she's a drifter who always leaves her dreams on the back burner, and who let herself fall for Riven, a man who never really treated her the way that she deserved. Real Musa admits that it's taken her a long time to figure out who she is and what she wants, and even when she's known, she's often struggled with actually pursuing those dreams. But that doesn't mean all that time was wasted. She needed that time to become who she is now, and she wouldn't change that for anything. The false Tecna talks about how she's always being forgotten, always left behind. Why keep throwing herself away for people who don't value her? Real Tecna says that she may not be most people's favorites, but she still learned so much from her friends over the years. To become a kinder, gentler person who embraces her emotions and doesn't let rationality compromise her joy. If saving the world is irrational, she will happily lean into that. Aisha's fake self asks how many sacrifices she's willing to make, how long she's going to let herself suffer for her so-called friends and for everyone else. Wouldn't it be better to just give up and let the bad guys win? She's already lost so much. Real Aisha just laughs at her. She may have suffered, but that's not who she is. She embraces all of life. She's learned to be soft and open up about what hurts her, and she is an unashamed romantic. She doesn't know what will happen if they win, but if they don't, she will never have the chance to enjoy a world where she gets to have fun with her friends and to be with Naboo. The false Roxy asks why she'd even be here in the first place, when she isn't truly one of the Winx. They don't really consider her a friend, she's just a pupil and an afterthought. The real Roxy finds that insulting. Even if she wasn't a Winx, she still chooses to be here alongside her friends, and has worked hard to have her choices seen and respected. She may be younger than the rest and incredibly reckless, but that doesn't change her determination to see this through. She is here because she wants to be here, Winx or not. Though the battle is fierce, the Winx endure, and each calls upon her dragon flame, and from their sparks burst 7 dragons, each themed for their powers. The dragons devour the false Winx, then spin around the real Winx. At first, most of them are nervous, anticipating a fight as the flames turn on them, but Bloom assures them that it's okay. They have to trust the flame and trust themselves. The dragons all breathe flames onto the Winx, and they let themselves be embraced by the blaze. Through the flames, the Winx hear Buddy's voice. He tells them that they've been through so many trials throughout their lives, how they've often questioned themselves, wondering if they were worthy of their dreams, feeling like they had lost sight of their very selves. But the Winx have proven through it all, they know who they are still. They are guardian fairies, they are protectors of the powerless, and they are ready to harness their full power. The Winx summon their Ardorix weapons, which change into the form of fairy wands, each adorned with their Charmix pins. And so they finally transform into Mythix. Side note, my friend made these designs for Mythix for the rewrite. They are absolutely gorgeous. I'm showing them on screen now. I'm making an exception to the lack of visuals for this because they are everything. Look at them. They're gorgeous. Oh my god. I was like, just, traditional fairy garb, traditional fairy aesthetic, make them look really pretty like fairy queens. Was like, done, say less. Once the sequence is done, the rainbow flames fly up the tree, and the Winx in Mythix appear in their full glory to Selenia and Eldora. Eldora congratulates them on their success. The Winx are in awe over the power that they feel from their new forms, almost like they're on a high. Selenia is hopeful that this will be enough to stop Acheron. Eldora says that Acheron destroyed the previous Legendarium, but even when additions are destroyed, They always regenerate, and the Winx's new Mythix powers can accelerate that process. Back in reality, the river's spell is once again interrupted as Lethe notices the Legendarium reforming before them, which greatly upsets Acheron. From the book's pages emerge the Winx and Selenia, much to the specialist's relief and excitement. With their wands ready, the Winx prepare to use the full power of fantasy to end Acheron's story once and for all.